Before she was the Great, Catherine was Sophie, a minor German princess from a place with a name so long it sounds like someone fell asleep on a keyboard. Her big break in life was an arranged marriage to the heir of the Russian Empire, a man named Peter. This was less a fairy tale and more a high-stakes corporate merger, where one of the assets was deeply, profoundly weird. Sophie arrived in Russia at 15, owning little more than her ambition and a complete inability to speak the language. So she did what any overachieving intern does. She worked overtime, learned Russian until her tongue bled, and enthusiastically converted to Russian Orthodoxy. She was playing the long game from day one. Her husband, the future Peter III, wasn't just a bad match, he was a walking diplomatic incident. His main hobby was playing with toy soldiers, not as a child, as the grown adult heir to a massive empire. He would stage elaborate war games in their bedroom, complete with miniature cannons. He once held a formal court-martial for a rat he accused of treason for chewing the head off one of his starched soldiers. The rat was found guilty and summarily executed by miniature firing squad. Catherine watched all this, probably taking meticulous notes on precisely how not to run a country. This wasn't a marriage, it was a decade-long masterclass in what happens when you give supreme power to a moron. In 1762, Empress Elizabeth finally died, and Peter ascended to the throne. His reign lasted a glorious 186 days. In that short time, he managed to alienate everyone. The military? He forced them into Prussian-style uniforms they hated. The church? He tried to seize their lands and make them dress like Lutheran pastors. The nobility? He treated them with contempt. His crowning achievement was ending the 7 Years' War with Prussia by just giving up. He revered Prussia's king, Frederick the Great, like a celebrity. Russia had been winning, but Peter pulled out, handed back all the territory they'd bled for, and offered to be Frederick's best friend. It was spectacularly bad leadership. While Peter was busy cosplaying as a Prussian general, Catherine was cultivating allies. She understood something fundamental. Power in Russia didn't come from a birthright you barely had. It came from the loyalty of the Imperial Guard regiments. These were the kingmakers, the guys with the swords and the capital city barracks. She also had a series of very, let's say, strategic affairs. Her lover, Grigory Orlov, was an artillery officer with 4 equally imposing brothers. They were essentially her street team, a private army, and a fan club all rolled into one. Catherine wasn't just waiting for the throne to fall into her lap, she was methodically unscrewing the legs of the chair Peter was sitting on. The coup on June 28, 1762, was almost comically smooth. Peter was out of town at one of his palaces. Alexei Orlov, one of the brothers, woke Catherine at dawn with the news that one of their co-conspirators had been arrested. It was now or never. She raced to the barracks of the Ismailovsky Guard, dressed in a male officer's uniform, and gave a rousing speech. They proclaimed her empress. Then she marched to the barracks of the other regiments, collecting loyalties like they were free samples. By midday, she had the army, the church, and the government in St. Petersburg on her side, all while the actual czar was somewhere else, probably playing with his boats. Word finally reached Peter that his wife had just stolen his empire. His first reaction wasn't rage or a call to arms. He tried to negotiate. He offered to share power with her. Catherine's response, delivered by a messenger, was essentially no. Defeated, he abdicated the throne in exchange for a quiet retirement, a violin, and his favorite mistress. He signed the papers with barely a fight. This wasn't a violent overthrow so much as a hostile takeover where the CEO just hands over the keys and asks if he can still use the company gym. He was arrested and taken to a private estate at Ropsha to rest. A week later, shocking news. Peter III was dead. The official cause was a severe attack of hemorrhoidal colic and an apoplectic stroke. Nobody bought it. Hemorrhoidal colic isn't a real thing. It was the 18th century equivalent of dying from unspecified business reasons. The real story is a lot messier. He was being guarded by Alexei Orlov and his men. A letter, supposedly from a panicked Orlov to Catherine, describes a drunken brawl where the ex-tar was accidentally suffocated. Accidentally. Catherine claimed innocence, but the timing was just a little too convenient. The loose end had been neatly, if brutally, tied up. Securing the throne meant more than just getting rid of a useless husband. There was another, more legitimate claimant, Ivan VI. This poor soul had been emperor for about a year as an infant before being deposed and locked away. For over 2 decades, he'd been held in solitary confinement, his identity a state secret, known only as Nameless Prisoner Number 1. Catherine knew he was a potential rallying point for her enemies. She issued secret orders to his guards. If anyone tried to free him, he was to be killed immediately. In 1764, someone did try. The guards followed their orders perfectly. Another convenient problem solved. Tyranny is, if nothing else, efficient. Catherine was a German woman who stole a throne she had no legal right to, while her husband and the other legitimate heir both died under suspicious circumstances. Not a great look. So she launched one of history's most brilliant public relations campaigns. She corresponded with Enlightenment thinkers like Voltaire and Diderot, buying their loyalty and getting them to sing her praises across Europe as an enlightened despot. She commissioned countless portraits depicting her as strong, wise, and thoroughly Russian. She even wrote her own memoirs, casting herself as the tragic heroine who had to seize power to save the country from her idiotic husband. She didn't just take power, she wrote the story of why she deserved it. And for the most part, history has printed her version. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more historical insights. Thanks for watching, nerds!